Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. We're here.
We are.
We're in the other level
Sneaker shopping.
of office sneaker shopping, which is dope. And a lot of the trainers down here, I've not really been a fan of because they're so colourful.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting to the age now where they're really colourful and I don't mind.
Okay.
As long as you wear like black top, kind of thing. But yeah, man. So we're talking about like spiritual disciplines.
Yep.
I want to know quickly though, or we want to know quickly, what's your story, bro?
What's my story, right? So we're here in Birmingham,
Yeah, man.
okay, the promised land, the UK.
The
I'm not
promised
from here.
Well, I didn't say that. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm from the States, grew up in Tampa, Florida. I got into some trouble. Wasn't really a knuckleheaded kid, I would say, starting off, but then I kind of got into some trouble, and it was either go to jail or leave the state. So I left the state, and then, but the neighborhood I grew up in was rough. It'd be hood, ghetto, low-income houses, the schools, public school system, people getting stabbed, people trying to take guns into school. We had a police officer that was full-time based in the school, just to kind of give you an idea of the kind of school I went to. So the whole environment was violent. People getting killed, shot, people frustrated, no money. And in Florida, when it's hot, everybody wants to be outside. So when you get a bunch of frustrated people that are hot going outside, chaos tends to happen. And so I didn't understand really the bad things that was happening with drugs. I think I understood the extent that was happening around my house and some of the people in my family. But then when I was 12 years old, the first time I sold drugs, and I got it in school. Somebody just kind of really relaxed, had it in their pocket and just said, "Oh, I forgot I had this." And then they had like these old spork with a napkin and these plastic things that you used to get at KFC. He just ripped off the top and just shoved it in there, gave it to me. And that was the first time, and it was all like, I was just 12 years old, and we, growing up, we didn't have a lot of food, so we'd go days without food. We would just, so, you know what I'm saying? And money coming from anywhere was always going to be, okay for me. And so that just kind of spiraled into getting in trouble, turning into a knucklehead, fighting, getting kicked out of school, and
Where'd your faith come in? Like, where was faith in it? What was that?
Man, I ended up just kind of finding myself, like I thought I had everything you're supposed to have. I had money, not all the money, but I had enough money for a 16-year-old. I thought I had respect, things like that. And but by the time I was, I would say, 16, I had money. It wasn't legal money, but I had money, so I was eating. That was a big priority for me growing up and really poor. And but I just kind of felt, as cliche as it could sound, I just felt like empty. Like the things I thought I was supposed to have, and things that my community promoted, it just wasn't anything really for me in the end. And so I'd been to church twice before. One time I was high, the second time I got kicked out for laughing. It was a very traditional church, so they had like little baby Jesus, carrying him in. I think it was like a Christmas thing I went to. And so by the time I had heard about church and stuff, I went, and I just kind of really had a fascination. I guess, to make it plain, I had a fascination with God. Like it wasn't about church. I didn't really know what church was because my only experience was it was boring and I didn't fit the bill. I got kicked out.
But then you had like, you had a group of friends who talked to you, Bible studies with. And then like there was just this moment where you.
There were 3 people leading up to it. To me, actually, I guess going all in my faith. Which somebody next to me made a comment about their faith that just kind of stuck with me. It kind of haunted me in a good way. It made me curious. And then my cousin came down, he visited, and he was ex-knucklehead turned Christian, and so his faith, and I got to see him live out his faith and stuff, and it really fascinated me, and it made me, more curious. And then friend of mine as well, knucklehead, really rough upbringing. He, became a Christian. He used to cut my hair, came in and said, I'm a Christian, I don't want to do anything, that God wouldn't be happy about, and those three, I guess, people, and some of them were small interactions, it just really, it really exposed me to people that were like me, could have faith. I thought faith was for a certain class, like people who had a certain amount of money, people from certain areas. I didn't think God wanted anything to do with people that had grown up in certain areas. So it was just, it was an exposure I needed. And then I just woke up one day on a Sunday and I went down to a church that I'd known about, and I didn't understand anything, I didn't get anything what they were talking about. They could have been speaking a completely different language. But it was in the song sessions and the worship is really where I felt like God started to do something that words couldn't. But basically, I think that's what kind of started off. But then I had some people that were in the church, and they were like me. They rap. We all rap. We had a little rap crew, and we would go do shows. We would go into like cafes and just we would write songs and do stuff. Some of my friends now, they're on labels. They rap. They do their thing, and yeah. So that was a good connection. There were people like me, and they didn't give up on me because a month in, I was trying to fight somebody in the parking lot of church, and I walked away thinking, man, these people are gonna hate me. I wasn't perfect, but no, they weren't. It was good.
Which is, it's like that's one of the essences of like making sure that Christianity is like it's real, it's connected.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's underground kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we'll do some quick fire.
Yeah.
So your trainer size, what's your trainer size?
10.
Your first pair.
Oh, my first pair. Oh, they were hand-me-downs for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 4, and so everything was hand-me-downs.
What were they?
But my first shoes, let me say this, my first shoes I was proud of. I don't know what number they were, but they were J's, like the original J's. And 2 weeks after that, I tried to break a spray paint can, and they covered them. They were all whites too. My brother was smart. He went all blacks, and I was all white. I was always attracted to the all whites in my younger days. Yeah. Toothbrush, clean them up. That's the ghetto fabulous
baby
style.
white. Yeah, man.
And then in the end, I got it all messed up.
What's your favorite pair? You don't have to own these.
Okay, yeah. I would say Yeezys.
Okay.
Yeezys,
really?
I think just because I want to see what all the hype's about.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't want to put your foot. You wouldn't want to put a size 10 in a Yeezy.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I think if I could, if I wasn't on a budget or anything like that, and I could just get any trainer, any sneaker I wanted, I'd probably just see what all the hype's about.
And what's your playlist and top 5? Say your top 3 musicians.
I'd say Mark Anthony's one.
Okay.
I love my salsa music. Love it. Oye. Oye. I do love some early days. Yeah. Not the new Ye. And I'm a big fan of Mos Def.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, early days, Mos Def.
Your Instagram?
My Instagram, I think it's Rubio220 or just Dustin Rubio. I got like 2. I got a creative one.
I don't know.
DRCRTV, creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so what's your thing? So what's the thing about you?
What's my thing? I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I get into a little bit of everything, but I feel like I haven't mastered it. I'm into video, photography, editing, animation. I've DJ'd like techniques. I've rap, done shows, freestyle, love freestyle. I play guitar, ukulele, drums.
Whoa.
Literally,
I didn't know you played ukulele.
Oh yeah. So, but I don't feel like I've mastered any of those things. I get bored quick, so maybe it's a negative. I get on something, I get bored, and then I'm out.
Last thing, like your favorite place that you hang out. What's your hangout?
Right. I would say a place called the Gower.
There's that?
Yeah, it's in Swansea. It's like all natural sort of place. It's amazing. So it's like all hills, and then the ground you're on is just all green grass for a long pit, like just everywhere. And then in a distance you got the sea then, and it's cool because you got all 3 of just green grass. You got the hills. I grew up in a city. I've always been in cities. So going to something that kind of contrasts with that, I like it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Sometimes in the cities, it's just loud. There's so much going on.
And there's almost sometimes nothing to do. But in nature or in country, like you can walk.
Yeah.
But like talk about spiritual disciplines and the outward disciplines. The four outward disciplines are simplicity, solitude, submission, service. And have any of those helped you in your walk with Jesus?
Right. Have any of them helped me in my walk with Jesus? Yeah, for sure. I would say simplicity and solitude have been a big one. I think simplicity. I think for me, coming from cities, big cities, lived in New York City, it's loud. I mean, and I think finding simplicity, and the reason why I said my favorite kind of hangout place is a place where it's very much solitude. You can be by yourself for a long time. It's just I'm able to go into a place where I have just my thoughts. I have no other loud music. I have no music playing. There's no Bruno Mars. There's no background noise. You know, there's so much white noise going on. And it's a place where I can just hear my thoughts, feel my feelings, and be able to be open to God. You know, you think of things like meditation. And meditation, you know, it is pondering something over and over again. But I think it's being able as well to kind of silence yourself, you know. And I think, and it's hard to do that. You have to be a master to be around chaos and be able to do that. And I think a good way, I think for me to kind of get into that sort of place where I can just find stillness amongst all this noise and stuff. I think it started off with finding places where I can be by myself, solitude. You know, I find nature has been a big thing. I didn't grow up around nature, so going in places where there are trees, fresh oxygen, water, things that weren't in my neighborhood. And I think those things have been really good. So I think simplicity, solitude, and I think it helped me to be able to hear God. You know what I'm saying? I think so. And I think even in that, sometimes I felt like it led to the art of submission, being able to submit to God, because I wouldn't have been able to submit to God if I didn't even know He was even real or He could even speak to me. And that came through being able to silence myself and being in a place of solitude and just and then to do that, sometimes you have to simplify. I feel like they're all kind of connected, and I feel like it starts with simplicity. I feel like,
kind of
you know,
removing the distractions.
Yep. I remember when I was young, I overcomplicate things. We all do. Video games, headphones on, the phone, what's going on, eating, everything at one time, and it's cool, it's fun, but I think sometimes it's a thing of it's simplifying, and I think it's eliminating certain stuff. Not saying your whole life needs to be that, but there are moments for sure where you need to at least once a week, I'd say, is just simplify, cutting off all these things, find solitude, be by yourself, whether that's in your bed if you're in a city or you're in a house full of people, whether that's even in the shower. Sometimes, I grew up in a household. One time, I remember I lived with my aunt, and there were 7 of us in the house, and the shower was the place I was going to find the most solitude, you know? And I think, simplifying, finding that solitude, that place you can be by yourself. And I think in some ways it's to help you, you know, kind of center your own spirit, you know, find some balance. But I think it's connecting with God, and I think that leads to, it makes it easier for me to submit to God, because when I go into a place of solitude, I know God's He's there, and He's big, you know. And,
So what is it about like a city? Because obviously we're looking at sneakers, looking at trainers.
Yeah.
You guys would say sneakers in the US. We say trainers. But like, what is it about trainers that like we just love as being in the city? Like,
I think for one, this is my theory. I would say it's because of him, Jordan.
Yeah, really?
I think Jordan.
Okay.
I think.
You watched The Last Dance, didn't you?
Of course. Yeah. But I think you go back to that.
True.
Who else made a shoe famous like that?
That's true.
That was huge. And because it's a sport that it's the only thing you can really have personality for. Back then, like here in football, people have their hair, they might have tattoos. But back then, everybody kind of looked the same. As either you're bald, you have high top hair, or you have the shaggy hair. But it was your sneakers. And for him, when he came out, it was literally. It was big. It was cities. It was, and I would say even as well. I think maybe not country, but it went into smaller towns as well. I think people were just like Jordan surpassed even urban culture. You know, I grew up in a community that people might want to use the term urban. But I saw it surpass that. I saw white kids that would come into my school that weren't at all from an urban community, but they would rock the J's. They loved it. And I think I would say Jordan, and I would say, and it's an easy way to be what I would say ghetto fabulous. You know what I'm saying? So growing up in the
way.
For a young person.
Yeah, for a young person.
And even when you go up. So when you're older, what I saw lots in Harlem is people would have the cars. They'd have no food in their house. They'd maybe not even have electricity. You know what I'm saying?
They wouldn't have
no back to school clothes for the kids, but they got that nice car.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? No insurance, but they got the nice car. And it's the same way of like, listen, you might have been, having some stinky socks on for like 2 weeks in a row, but you're trainers. It's one of these things that I don't understand fully the psychology of it, but that is definitely something I would say for America. I would say I attribute Jordan, and I say it's a ghetto fabulous thing,
In your walk with Jesus,
Yep.
what was the hardest thing?
What was the hardest thing?
And then what was the spiritual discipline that you employed to get you out?
To get me, okay, I think my mind, really. I would say thoughts. I think you are the environment you're in. You become the environment you're in, and I felt like I was in an environment that was very opposite to God, to light. I mean, it was violent. The language was the language. The value system was the value system. You treated women a certain way, and for some reason it was like, and forget even just being a woman, just another human. They just so happen to be a woman, and you get extra points. I saw it on videos. It was just the way growing up, and then to all of a sudden I'm reading the Bible and I'm seeing there's a massive, it's just a conflict between my thoughts. And although sometimes I try to fake it, but you can't fake it, because every once in a while things are going to come out. And so for me, I think the big thing was, I think in being in solitude, it wasn't just being in solitude, but it was having the scriptures there. So it tags on with even meditation. I mean, it really was even prayer. Being in solitude. I remember, I didn't know no better. Nothing spiritual about a position, but I kneeled down. Nothing spiritual about me closing my eyes, but I closed my eyes. Nothing spiritual about this old chair, but I was kneeling on this chair. It was all I knew, but really what it was me being authentic and being genuine with God and saying, God, I want to change. If your desire is for me to change, you need to help me with my thoughts, because my thoughts are all over the place. And I just, so I would say for me, I think it would go back to that solitude, that place of solitude, but in conjunction, with scriptures and prayer. It really was to kind of help with my thinking. And once my thinking started to change, my value system, what I valued, how I treated people, because where I grew up, you got points for walking around here trying to pick a fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. I remember when I became a Christian, my thoughts changed. I remember going up an escalator or going down, and this other dude just mean mugging me, like literally want to fight me, and I just, and I felt this conflict in me of like, I felt like a punk because I had to look away because I can see it in his eyes. He's crazy enough to really pop it off in a store, just like this one. And so anyways, I think definitely the solitude thing and scriptures changed my thinking, really helped me, and that propelled things in a big way.
So why would you say then that spiritual disciplines are good for practice for young Christian men? Like, that's probably the last question.
Yeah. Somebody once said, and I've heard other successful business people say this, but I heard somebody say, you want to be, successful at something, you have to be great at the boring things. So if you want to be successful at something, you got to be great at the boring things. So when you think about being a gymnast, you want to be in the Olympics, you want to be breaking records, you want to blow minds, you know what I'm saying? You think of Michael Phelps, you can Google that guy from, in America, most gold medals, the most boring sport is swimming. But when you look at the stuff he's done, it's crazy what he's achieved, but it's all come down to discipline. Everything you do, from music, again, to any art, any sport.
Studying, to waking up early.
Ronaldo. It's all discipline. You know what I'm saying?
So
it's all
discipline. Yeah, man.
So I would say when it comes to the faith, I think spirituality, I would say exercise those disciplines. I think understand them, exercise them, because I feel like they're boring. There's no way around them. They're boring. Nobody wants to do them,
it's the hard
but they're the building blocks,
But yeah, just like it's been amazing. I would like thanks for hanging out with me, bro.
Yeah,
Chilling here, getting
Shoe
these
shopping
sneakers.
for you with these skaters.
I would not be wearing those. Man.
Hey.
I would not be wearing those.
Hey, look at these ones.
But guys, tune in next week for the last edition of this little series. It's all about disciplines, the walk with Jesus, and we're looking at sneakers while we do it. So yeah, man, appreciate you, Dustin.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Peace out.
Moose.